Hello, today we'll be talking about weather. And in this topic about weather, we'll be talking mostly about the formation of precipitation, air mass, and how that affects tornadoes here in Oklahoma, and lifting of air. So first off, the formations of precipitation. You might ask, what is precipitation? It is any form of liquid that falls from clouds. Rain, snow, sleet, and hail are the formations of precipitation. Rain is a liquid droplet. Droplets fall from the clouds when the water vapor condenses around dust particles in the clouds. Rain falls when the water droplets in the clouds get too large, and the water droplets, they get larger as they collect more water as they fall. Snow is ice crystals that fall. Each snowflake is a complex arrangement of ice crystals. Snow forms when water vapor changes from a gas into a solid form of ice. And then sleet. Sleet forms when raindrops freeze and form ice pellets. Sleet is smaller and wetter than hail. Hail is ice that forms from the sky in round shapes. Hail forms in the clouds of thunderstorms when upward moving air keeps the frozen water pellets from falling. The ice pellets get larger as cold water hits them and freezes. During this process, the ice pellets become large and heavy so heavy that the clouds can't hold them, and they are released as round balls of ice. And hail can be different sizes. It can be quarter size, it can be BB size, it can also be softball size, baseball size. It can get up to be pretty big. So next on our list is air mass. And what is air mass? Air mass is a large body of air, usually 1,600 kilometers or 1,000 miles or more across of air in the atmosphere. An air mass usually has similar properties of temperature and humidity. An air mass forms over a large surface called the source region. As wind moves the air mass will carry the heat, cold, dry, or moist air from the source region to the new region. Air masses are classified by the source of the region. Polar and Arctic start in high altitudes near the Earth's poles. Tropical air masses form in the low altitudes. The words polar, Arctic, and tropical identifies the temperature and humidity characteristics of the air mass. Air masses are further classified by the nature of the surface in the source region. Continental air masses form over the surface of land, while maritime form over water. Maritime and maritime explain the moisture characteristics, where continental is dry and maritime humid. There are four basic types of air masses, which are continental polar, continental Arctic, continental tropic, and maritime polar and maritime Arctic. In North America, the continental polar and maritime tropical air masses affect the weather most. Continental polar air masses start in northern Canada, the interior of Alaska, and the Arctic, which are areas that have cold, dry winters and cool, dry summers. Maritime tropical air masses begin in the warm water of the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea, and Atlantic Ocean. These types of air masses are warm, heavy, moisture, and usually unstable. The continental tropical air mass affects the weather of the United States list. If the air mass from the source region has warm, moist air in the lower atmosphere and meets the cold, dry from the upper atmosphere of the new region, causes a thunderstorm to be formed. The force in the form of a front of an air convergence. When the warm and cold air mix, causes the atmosphere to be unstable. The warm air rises from the lower atmosphere, causes an updraft, and mixes with heavy cold air. A thunderstorm forms when this happens if there is moisture in the atmosphere. For a tornado to form, there has to be a thunderstorm. In Oklahoma, tornadoes are more prevalent because an extremely strong updraft of warm, moist Gulf air interacts with the fast-moving, cool north air moving south. The last thing to a tornado to be produced is the jet stream to be moving 150 miles per hour. Lifting of air is the last thing we'll be talking about. And there are 4 types of airlifts, but we'll be only discussing two types of airlifts, which are orthographic lifting and frontal lifting. Lifting of air is called adiabatic cooling. The process is warm air particles moving upward and cool particles moving downward. Orthographic lifting is where air flows over mountains because the mountains act as a barrier to block the air flowing through them. The air cools adiabatically, clouds and precipitation occur. So basically, on the orographic lift, the moist air has to travel up the mountain, and it kind of forms the precipitation, and then the cool air goes down the other side of the mountain, as you can see in the picture. And then the last one we'll be discussing is frontal lifting, is when less dense warm air is forced to rise over cooler, denser air as weather fronts move, which is how fronts are formed. So this is how, when we get a warm front or a cold front, it's when the warm air and the cold air are colliding, and the picture shows how the warm air has to kind of go up, and it puts too much and the cold air hit together, and it causes a front. Thank you so much.